So I said, make sure the bag is twisted up tight so we don't walk out here and find snakes all over the porch of the store. And he said, he looks at me and goes, hey, snake is dumb. Snakes are dumb as they can be. He said, snake, once you twist that bag, they can't get out of there because they is so dumb. My name is John Neese. I am from Southern West Virginia. For the past 35 and a half years, I worked for a tobacco company, and my territory was about everything south of Charleston, and for probably 15 or 20 years, it was most of Southwest Virginia. I am a granddad of 10, 5 boys and 5 girls, and a father of 4, 3 boys and a girl. And what we did was we came up with a plan. If the one that has the most grandchildren for us gets everything. So, I did not go to college. I knew the first day of the first grade I was not college material. So there were 2 first grade teachers. They were back then. They were, just working on kindergarten. So rich kids got to go to kindergarten. The people like me did not get to go. And so first day of the first grade, we had 2 teachers. One was beautiful. Her name was Mrs. Melker, and one was not so beautiful and always looked angry. And her name was Mrs. Bazzi. And from the A's to the Z's, they split everything up. M got to go with the beautiful teacher, and my name being Neese, I got to go with Miss Horrible. And I knew life was against me from that time on. And then the next year we had like a split second grade, and guess what? I got Miss Bazzi the second year. So I just knew they were out to get me. So have been blessed to have known so many great people over that 35 and a half years, and to have worked with people and to have called on customers that were wonderful. And gotta say, you probably don't realize it when you go into a convenience store, but some of the smartest people you'll ever meet in your life and best personalities are running a cash register in a convenience store. So what I've found in life, if you take time to get a relationship started with people, you'll find that 95% of the people are great people, and 5% of the people you earn your money with. So best job I ever had in my life, I was a car washer just down the road for a car lot. Did that a whole summer, and one day they asked me if I wanted to take a 240Z to the Wendy's and pick up burgers for the salesman that really dressed nice, and I said sure. When I got back, they said, how old are you? I said 14 and a half. So I got fired from that job. Then went into the grocery business and wanted to be a radio announcer at the time, and I worked in a grocery store, became a meat cutter, and found out pretty much meat cutting's not a great job. You're always cold, you're always bloody, you're always wet, and you're always dealing with angry people. A lot like being married. And but let me see. I was in radio for a few years, and then thought we would have salesmen come in the store, and I thought, man, I'd like to be a salesman, because you dress nice, you get to talk to people, you get a vehicle to drive. That would be a wonderful job. So the first sales job I took, which was kind of a merchandising job, you didn't get all those great benefits, but was with Kimberly Clark. And then came upon this job, and one of the best people I ever met in my life, and he's in heaven now, but his name was Dewey Rutledge from down in Danville, Virginia. He had mercy on me, and I was the only one that showed up for the interview, and did so bad on the test that he let me take it 3 times and gave me the job. And so people, a lot of your life is people having mercy upon your soul. So that's how I ended up as a sales rep for a tobacco company. There are people that you work for that will always just stand out in your life. And Dewey was kind of like the Lord Jesus. He kind of taught you with stories. Of course, Dewey's stories might have been true or might not have been true, but he was a old boy from Danville, Virginia that had come through Vietnam and just a wonderful, wonderful guy to work with. And I got to tell you this story. We were down near Bradshaw, West Virginia one time, and we had caught on the hillbilly market. And there was this little guy that came in there, and he was kind of dirty, and just a little bitty feller. And he had this sack. And the sack was kind of moving, and he was going into the store, and he laid the sack upon the porch of the store. And I looked at him, I said, "Buddy, what's in that sack?" Is this story okay?
Oh, yeah, please.
I said, "Man, what's in the sack?" He kind of had a little bit of a speech impediment, and I'm not making fun of him, but I think it just adds to the story. He looked at me, he said, "Well," he said, "I'm on disability." I said, "You are?" He said, "Yeah." He said, "Now, 2 things I like to do. I like to smoke, and I like to drink my beer." And he said, "My family, they take all my money off of me." So he said, "There's a snake handling church down here." And he said, "I got a deal worked out with the preacher." I said, "A deal?" He said, "Yeah." He said, "Every rattlesnake I get $5. And for every copperhead I get $3.50. I looked at him and I said, "So what's in the bag?" He said, 4 rattlesnakes and 3 copperheads. So I was like, man, I said, "You are definitely a guy that likes to drink and smoke." There is no doubt about that. So I said, "Make sure the bag is twisted up tight so we don't walk out here and find snakes all over the porch of the store." And he looks at me and goes, "Hey, snake is dumb. Snakes are dumb as they can be." He said, "Snake, once you twist that bag, they can't get out of there because they is so dumb." And I was like, okay. And my boss looked at me, old Dewey. He said, "I say we go up to Bluefield and we finish working that day." Dewey had that beautiful Danville, Virginia accent. This is a great story. I was over in Monroe County, West Virginia, and me and a boss, we stopped at a little restaurant over there, and there was a farmer in there eating. Everybody in Monroe County is a farmer or on disability, and we were sitting there at the restaurant, and this farmer is with what looks to be his grandson, and he has this big knot on his forehead. And I said, I'm one of them guys, I immediately have to wade in. And I said, "Man, what happened?" And he looked at me and said, "Well," he said, "this morning," he said, "I have about 200 goats. He said, "This morning I was out in the goat lot." And he said, "I've been over to pick something up, and this big old male goat, I guess he thought I was challenging him, and he reared back and boom, right into my head." I said, "What'd you do?" He said, "Well, after I got where I could see," he said, "I got up and got a big 5-gallon bucket." He said, "I put it over the goat's head and took a rubber mallet and just beat on it till my arm could not swing anymore." I said, "Man," I said, "is the goat okay?" He said, "Yeah, the goat's fine, and I feel a lot better." So I just love that, and just love the way people look at things. And if you find humor, if you can look at people and really look at them, I think you find a lot of humor in them. Had a customer that was an Indian guy, and I'm going to do the accent and don't want to offend anybody, but he called me in the story, and this guy was a Mormon, and we were there in the store. He said, "John, I need you to come back come back to the back of the store. So I thought, man, what have I done? Have I offended them? Do they think I've stole something? What do they think I've done? And I said, Sean, what's going on? He said, I am getting ready to go out to Utah, to the home of the Mormon church. I said, well, that is great. That is awesome. Sean was a Mormon. I don't know if I said that. And he said, I am going to be baptized in the Mormon church for people that I like. He said, do you mind if I do it? I said, brother, go for it. Because I said, when I show up to heaven, I've got paperwork from the Methodists, the Nazarenes, the Baptists. I'm sure the Methodists or the Mormons isn't going to hurt me a bit. So he did that. But I think the great thing about that was somebody that felt enough towards you that they would go and, do that to be baptized for you. So I thought that was pretty cool. Guys, this is a tragedy that happened in my 35 and a half years. I don't know if y'all heard about it, but when the Little General in Gent, West Virginia blew up, that day I was up there and just stopped in the store to fill up my 1 cup a day coffee mug. And the manager there, her name was Donna, and she caught me at the door and said the company that supplied the store had sent her the wrong product. Would I mind exchanging? And I said, well, Donna, I wasn't going to work your store till later. But I said, I'll tell you what, I'll exchange it, but you got to give me a free coffee. So she did. And when I went in the store, I noticed there was a lot of people there working in the store from the gas company, the people that did their propane. And I just went on down the road and said I was going to work back up my way back towards Gent from down in the Beaver area, Beaver, West Virginia. And the Budweiser guy pulls in, I'm getting out of the store, and we were buddies. He said, man, have you been out in Gent? I said, yeah, I was in the store this morning. He said, well, the store's gone. I said, what? He said, yeah. He said, they had a propane explosion. And that morning it was like 15 degrees in the area, and the propane had laid on the bottom. And when they think that when one of the coolers came on, you know how sometimes you'll see a spark out of a refrigeration unit, that ignited the propane, and it killed like 7 people. And they found Donna. It didn't kill her. It blew her across the road. What saved her was an old metal counter where when you go in the store and buy stuff, you set it up on. And she and the counter and they found her up in a tree. Is still alive, and I think she's still alive today. But that kind of made me think, we're all kind of on a short leash, and it could end any time. So, even though I live in West Virginia and y'all live down in Virginia and people over in southeast Kentucky, it's Appalachia, it's that feeling, that culture. And I think the thing that impresses me most about the people is when we say, how are you? We really want to know how you're doing. How's your kids? How's your wife? How's your family? How do you feel? After you leave this old world, where are you going to end up? We want to know it all. And I think a lot of times people come into the area and they think, man, these Appalachian people are truly nosy. And I guess in a way we are, but the honest truth is that we care. We don't want to see anybody down and out. If we can help it, of course there's people that make decisions to be that way, but if we want to say something positive to you, and we want to build those relationships and know people. And I think that's the greatest thing. And somebody told me years ago that you were either in a storm or coming out of a storm or heading into a storm. And I think that's just life in general. I was in a Walmart parking lot and had a big guy from marketing part come in and work with me, and I looked over in a car and there was a woman crying. I said, ma'am, are you okay? And she goes, honey, she was an older woman, probably in her mid-80s. She said, I don't know where I'm at. She said, I'm lost. And I said, hey, don't worry about it. I said, I'm here with you. And this marketing guy, he wanted to work. He wanted to get our day's job done. I looked at him and said, let's handle this situation. So I told him go into Walmart, and if the lady's behind the desk, maybe they could send a lady out. So the lady came out and went through the woman's purse and found a number to call. Back then, we didn't have cell phones. And she went in and called and said, she came out and told us, she said, this woman has the beginning stages of Alzheimer's, and said, listen, she's going to be here, but it's going to she works down in Smithers, and it's going to take her a while to get up here to Fayetteville. She said, would someone stay there with her till I get there? And the girl that worked for Walmart, she said, well, I've got to get in there and get my job done. And the guy working with me, hey, we've got to work. And I looked at him, I said, listen, I said, I get 20 days of vacation a year. I said, I'll just call this a vacation day. And I said, we're going to make sure, because there's business and then there's people. And people always outrank business. I don't care who you are. And I think that worries me a little bit, that culture, in business culture today, that people are getting away from the people aspect of the business. And to me, that was always the most important part of the business, because I'd go into stores and go to sell something, and they'd say, John, just send me what you think I need. And I was okay, and I would have Big Wheels with me sometimes. Well, you didn't sell them. I know I didn't sell them, but they told me to send what I think they need, and I would do it. And I think it's building up years and years of trust. Little story I was thinking about last night. I called on Acme Supermarkets, and they're out of business now. And they were just a wonderful group of stores, but there was a man, can't remember his name, but he ran the Richland store right next to, I think it was right next to Scotty's Pharmacy. And I had called on him, and the guy had never bought anything off of me. Never bought anything off of me. And I was going up the steps to his office, and I thought, this is such a waste of time. He pulls out a calendar and makes a mark, and he turns the pages. And he goes, this is the 10th time you've called on me. I said, yeah. He said, now it's time for me to buy off of you. He said, you'll keep coming back. And I thought, man, it took 10 times to earn that guy's trust. Sometimes the people in Appalachia were a little slow to trust, but sometimes that's not a bad thing, We're just built that way, but I really do think we care about each other, and we want everybody. If somebody gets a new truck, which I am a truck fanatic, we just want to see everybody do good and want to see everybody blessed. And I think that's because we're all headed to the same place in the end. I just want to and if I can make somebody laugh, if I can have a good time and make them feel a little better about themselves, hey, maybe that's, I was talking about, I always wished in the Bible there was at least one of the apostles that came across as having a sense of humor. Because I would have been that guy. I would have been the 13th apostle. They'd have called me Commodus, the book of Commodus. So I think one of the most important things that I would love the world to know. Let me tell you a little story. Everything I do has to have a story to it. But my daughter went to Middlebury College, which apparently is a pretty good college, nationally rated, and she's got her master's in Spanish. And I have 4 kids. 3 went to college. I think all 3 have their masters, and 1 after high school, he went to work for the railroad, and guess which one makes the most money. But anyway, I was taking her up to Middlebury, and that's in Vermont, and I was getting gas, and I'm talking to the lady. I see their little cigar and tobacco section, and I'm talking to the lady that's the manager. You know, does this sell? Does this sell? What do people, prefer in this market? Just things like that only a salesman would be interested in. And this guy from New York, that a lot of people in that part of Vermont have their weekend homes in Vermont, and they live in New York City during the week and go to Vermont during the weekends. And this guy walks up and goes, "Hey, you can have a family reunion some other time. I got to get some gas and get out of here." And I thought, yeah, somebody from Appalachia would never be that rude. There is absolutely no way we would jump into somebody's conversation. And even though I know the guy I would have, if the situation came up that I would have to get gas, I would have said, "I am so sorry to interrupt y'all. Please forgive me, but I've got to go and kind of in a hurry. Could I pay for my gas and go on down the road?" And I think that's one thing about people in Appalachia. We care so much about how you feel. We don't want you to have a bad day. We don't want you to have a negative outlook. We just want things to go good and easy for people. And as a sales rep, that's something I always tried to do. I always tried to make, selling people people think that sales is hard. But a wise guy that worked for our company one time said something that might not have meant anything to anybody else in the world, but he said, "Sales is easy. Find the pain and take it away." And I think life is pretty easy. Find the pain and try to take it away from people. And if you can talk to them about what's bothering them and kind of let them know, hey, this is going to pass. Things will not always be this way. There's a better day a coming. And I think that right there is the magic of people from Appalachia. We know that a better day is always coming. It's right around the corner, and we truly believe that. I told the guys, I said, I was always that kid, somebody would come to our school and they'd have a little magic show, and all the kids around me were the kids that this is how he did this. And I was like, I don't want to know. I want this to actually be magic. And I think the people of Appalachia are people that kind of truly want there to be magic. And I think if you look at people, there truly is magic in everybody's life.